Formed in Wolverhampton in 1966, they were one of the most successful groups during the glam rock era of the early 70s. Such artists as Nirvana, the Smashing Pumpkins, The Clash, Kiss, Poison, Def Leppard, Cheap Trick and even Oasis all cite them as a main influence. They dominated the UK charts in the early 70s, often outperforming such rivals as The Sweet, T-Rex and even David Bowie. They achieved 17 top 20 singles, 3 of which went straight to #1 and a total of 6 #1 singles.
Baby, baby, baby!
No other UK act in that time period enjoyed such consistency, and this was the closest any group had come to matching the Beatles. It ain't Christmas until you hear Merry Christmas everybody at least once on the radio or TV every single year.
It's Christmas!
When it comes to fashion sense, we are talking big hats, tartan, oh my god, lots of tartan, tank tops, big hair, humongous sideburns and platform shoes and boots. They are the original Spinal Tap and unlikely pin-ups of the 70s, and this is the story of the one and only Slade. All members of Slade grew up in what is known as the Black Country. The Black Country is an area in the West Midlands. The name is due to the black soot from the area's heavy industries like coal mines, iron foundries, glass factories, brickworks and steel mines. In 1964, drummer Don Powell and guitarist Dave Hill were part of a Midlands-based group called the Vendors and were regulars on the club circuit. At the time, Noddy Holder was playing guitar and vocals in a band called the Steve Brett and the Mavericks and was signed to Columbia Records. The band released only 3 singles in 1965. The Vendors decided on a change of direction and name, and they became known as the In-Betweens. They gained greater recognition and began getting supporting gigs with acts such as the Hollies and the Yardbirds. Don Powell managed to finally convince Noddy Holder to join them as their new singer. Don felt Noddy had star potential, although it would be at least 5 years before they eventually have their first hit. The band's first album, Beginnings, was released in mid-1969, but it was a complete commercial failure. By the end of the 60s, the group changed their name to Ambrose Slade. Soon after, the quartet hooked up with the Animals bass player turned manager Chaz Chandler, who had also discovered Jimi Hendrix a few years prior. After a few singles failed to chart, the band believed a change of image would lead to the band's success. The band cut their hair short and became Skinheads. However, this was short-lived and they soon adopted the glam rock style they became famous for. The band changed their name once again and Ambrose Slade became just Slade. In 1971, Slade released their second album, Play It Loud, and Chaz Chandler produced the album, but once again the release was a commercial failure and didn't break the top 40. Slade and their manager Chaz Chandler began considering the band's next move. Slade had ended their live set for the past 2 years with a Little Richard hit, Get Down and Get With It, and it always went down well with the audience. So the plan was to try and capture the live, energy of the band by recording the song live in the studio. And it worked. Slade finally had a hit record when it reached number 16 in the UK charts. A lot of radio DJs wouldn't play it because they thought it was too rowdy. Little Richard was given writer's credit, but then the band was sued by the real writer, Bobby Merchant, who had also performed on the original recording. Their record company, Polydor, sorted out the mess. By 1973, Slade were one of the most popular bands in Britain, having achieved 2 #1 singles, Come On Feel the Noise and Squeeze Me Please Me, in just 3 months. These singles had both entered the charts straight at #1, a feat unheard of since the Beatles with Get Back in 1969. One of the most distinctive things about the British glam rock band Slade is their misspelled titles on songs like Mama We're All Crazy Now, 'Cause I Love You, Goodbye to Jane and Come On Feel the Noise. And by the mid-70s, glam rock gave way to punk rock. The group were exhausted by their repeated attempts to try and conquer America. Despite massive success in the UK, America remained resistant to Slade's charms. By 1983, American heavy rock band Quiet Riot had a hit with a cover version of Slade's Come On Feel the Noise, and again the following year with a cover of Mama We're All Crazy Now. Slade have always had that undefinable thing that makes people happy, and what distinguished them the most was their common touch. They have never really purported to be anything more than black country lads. This earthiness makes their recordings unpretentious gems, misspelled song titles and all. Slade's hits were characterised by noddy holders, extrovert and always good-humoured stage personality. No other band could supply the same gut energy, dynamic and enthusiasm. This next artist rose to fame during the glam rock era and became one of the greatest artists of the 80s and 90s.